Hello, Google Plus. Welcome to Almighty Atheists, a show for free thinkers and theists alike. We discuss current events, funny random shit, and whatever else comes to our mind. Welcome to the show. Starting with Robin, can we introduce everyone from right to left?
Well, I'm Robin Dupre Reed. What do you want me to say?
Tell them a little bit about your channel.
My channel is really just my opinion about things mostly. I'm pretty opinionated. And I do a series every Wednesday on reading. I read the Bible and ask questions. And I have to tell you, no Christian has come on to answer any of my questions. And on Friday nights, I do a Fundies Say the Darndest Things. That's pretty funny.
Yeah.
And on Monday, I do just a random thoughts, usually current events. And I do my comments on current events. That's it.
PW Swivel, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and about your channel?
I do a channel with mostly, it's all graphics, animation, and I don't appear on any of my videos. I'm really happy to be here with Robin today because usually when I get stuck on coming up with a topic, I go check her channel and just steal something from her and go from there. It's been very successful. I have no plans to change it, so that's how I do my stuff.
Thank you.
Mark, your turn.
I'm Mark Allen Bialik. I do atheistic poetry. There's also a lot of my romantic poetry and stuff on my channel. Channel's the same name, Mark Allen Bialik, or just Mark Bialik. When I started the channel, I actually was just falling out of theism. So there's actually even a few theistic poems on there, just a few, as I was, going through my transition. And you'll also hear a lot of the sad poetry in the middle there as I was losing my love for God.
Oh. Well, Jesus still loves you.
Yeah.
Glenn, our other host, you want to introduce yourself?
We can't hear him.
Can't hear you, Glenn.
You're muted, Glenn. We're waiting for Glenn. You always wait for Glenn.
Yeah, well, there's not much to say about him,
It's well, while we're waiting for Glenn, I said that my mother's husband's mother on a previous show, I think episode 2, that she was a World War II concentration camp survivor. That was incorrect. My mother corrected me. What it was is she was 5 years old when the war started. She lived in Berlin. Her father got sent to Siberia, was never seen again. She had to go through dead people's homes to steal their food. And she had to stay in Berlin during the whole 10 years that the United States was stopping any kind of buddy from helping them. And that's what happened. She wasn't a World War II concentration camp survivor. She was a German Berlin World War II survivor from the age of 5 to 13. So just a little bit a correction. As skeptics, we are the first to admit we're wrong. We don't know everything, and sometimes we say things that aren't exactly 100% accurate. Sorry, human beings. But today's show. Oh, Glenn, can we hear you now?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, will you tell us a little bit about yourself and your channel again, in case it's the first time they're meeting you?
Yeah, well, I can't get my lower third to work, but I'm GodlessGlen. Basically, I fight against bigotry and bullshit on my channel. I think that's the two best words to describe what I do. So yeah.
Cool. Excellent. Well, today's show is the purpose of life. I'm gonna give my opinion, and then I'm just gonna let everyone else talk about it for a while. I see no purpose in life beyond the biological, to reproduce and to stick around just long enough that your offspring can survive, and so your genetic material will pass on, so evolution can continue, and then the whole universe is going to, one way or another, the universe is going to be gone. So it doesn't really fucking matter, honestly. But I see that there are reasons to want to survive, like to be happy, to travel, to have fun. You can have purpose, not purpose, but you can have goals in life. You can have things that make you happy, things you like doing. You can find enjoyment in life, and it's beautiful. But I don't see any purpose beyond reproducing. And like, if, for instance, you can't have children or you refuse to have children, I honestly see it as no actual purpose. But I mean, it's still a beautiful life, and that's your choice. But I don't see any purpose at all, because this whole link of this whole chain of all these life forms reproducing so that you can exist has now been broken. And I just see it as an evolutionary, genetic, plain and simple, cold and hard. Life has no real purpose beyond reproducing. But I'd like everyone else's opinion. Robin, can you give us your opinion?
Well, you don't find it a purpose to make your children free thinkers? You don't find that a purpose in life? You don't find it a purpose in life? You say you want to change the world. That's not a purpose for you?
I consider it more
that,
of a goal.
But that's your purpose, evidently.
Well,
I mean, does anybody agree with me on that?
I think the difference here, Robin, is I think what he's referring to is an objective purpose, rather than subjective. We all have subjective purposes, or we'd have killed ourselves or something by now. So I think what he means to say is there any objective purpose? And he doesn't see one.
Well, I guess I would have to agree with that. But he should have a purpose in making sure that his children don't grow up to be
weirdos.
Exactly.
Assholes.
Bigoted asshole weirdos. Exactly. That should be his purpose in life. I mean, I have that purpose myself that I set for myself and my children. I never taught my children about God ever, because I honestly have never been a religious person. I was raised Catholic, but I've never been a religious person. And my purpose was never to bring that kind of hate into their lives.
Well, good on you.
I never did. So they probably know nothing, hardly anything about God. Which to me was, I mean,
that's a good thing, yeah.
I accomplished my purpose.
Yeah, that's a good thing, yeah.
PW Swivel, what's your input on it?
Well, I have to agree that, you know, in terms of purpose of life, I don't think you can assign anything to that. Purpose of a life is a whole different matter, and that's, I think that's the only way I can respond to it is, you know, for myself, you know, beyond existing, I look at it in terms of relationships, and that the purpose in life is to maintain and foster relationships, either with yourself, you know, the world itself, other people, whatever. But it's a series of relationships to me. That's all it is. You wouldn't do anything productive to any real scale without a relationship with someone else. I mean, there would be no point to it. So that's where I come down on it. To me, it's about, you know, the maintenance of relationships.
I see that as pure value. I think the most valuable thing on this planet is human beings, conversations, and relationships. They're the one things you can't buy. You just can't. And when somebody's dead, it doesn't matter how much gold you have, they're fucking dead. And so I see human beings as the most valuable of everything in the entire known universe. And relationships and conversation are freaking priceless, honestly. So I would have to agree with that. You know, maybe not as a purpose, but as a value-based, yes. Because money's fiat and it's faith-based, but people are people-based. Sorry. Throw the phone. Mark, what's your input on the whole purpose thing?
Okay, I feel as though, as regards any objective purpose that is imposed by deities, or if you want to take a deistic view, the universe or whatever, I don't believe there's any at all. I don't think we were necessarily any kind of intention, or even necessarily something that was bound to happen necessarily. Of course, I don't follow science that closely, so I don't know, maybe. But I don't think there's any objective purpose in that sense. Now, I do feel there is some objective purpose wired into us via evolution, behavioral evolution, so to speak, where that's like the instinct to mate, the instinct to protect each other and preserve our species. I think that, in a sense, is an objective purpose, because even in spite of ourselves, we are most often inspired to at least attain those goals. Now, as we progress as a species and as a collective intellect, I think we are releasing ourselves of that, pseudo obligation, and I think that's fine. And this may sound presumptuous, but I think as we continue as a species, collectively, in a sense, if we continue along these lines and survive, I think we will become what we would have defined as God. We will assign objective purpose.
Yeah, I study technology and I follow futurists. I really honestly believe that if we can kill religion and spread wealth evenly, that we'll have access to the next thing that's going to happen, and that's nanites. We're going to be able to forcefully keep our body young. We're going to choose to die, kind of like Bicentennial Man. We're going to increase our intelligence millions and billions of times over. Like, it's going to be so significant. It's going to have to be slowly, or we'll go insane. And we'll be able to understand everything. I mean, everything, and where the universe came from and why, and be able to make, like, warp drives and shit. I honestly believe that if I can stay alive long enough, like till 2040, that the singularity will happen, where computers are actually millions of times more powerful than we are with our brains, and either we have to join with the machine or be extinct. Neo-evolution. I believe that.
So transhumanism is what you're talking about.
Yeah. The next step of evolution. We won't be humans no more. And I believe that the religious nut jobs, they'll refuse and they'll draw the first blood.
I think it'll come to head way before that. But let's hear Glenn's take on this.
Yes, Glenn, your turn.
Yeah, I think that Mark said some really interesting things. Yeah, as far as another person or being having an objective purpose for us, unless, of course, we were created by some alien race out there. There's no evidence that we were. We can't completely rule it out, though I think it's absurd to... Well, I don't know if I say it's absurd to believe things like that. I mean, it's... we can't completely rule it out, but it's probably not...
It's currently absurd based on lack of evidence.
Right.
It's not an absurd potential. It's just absurd based on the evidence we have so far, which is almost nil.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. I like that.
Let me jump in real quick. I'm trying to encourage live viewers and interactive feedback. We have 6 viewers right now, which is the most I've ever had in 14 minutes.
That was quick.
Bada Bits, big fan of Bada Bits. I saw him actually be respectful when a bunch of freaking atheists were just completely just yelling and screaming and arguing over top of each other during a live show, and he just shut up. He just shut up. He didn't want to have anything to do with that. They'd ask his opinion, and he'd be like, I have no opinion. So I gained a lot of respect for the man because he was the only one not acting a fool. And then I checked out his channel, and wow, it's informative. But he said something funny, and I encouraged it. He goes, "There's no poipus unless you're a dolphin." That's funny.
He's hilarious.
We also have Base Dad watching live. We have my mother, Godfrey Girl. If you not subscribe to Godfrey Girl, please do. All one word. She's got a lot of intelligence, and she knows religion pretty damn well. She even invented her own at one point. You'll find out about it if you keep an eye on her channel. She's watching, Bada Bitch is watching, 44mm ray gun is watching, and they're all commenting, so thank you, live viewers. But current events, anybody have a subject and topic? Well, I think we pretty much handled purpose unless people have anything else they want to say on it.
Well, I think there's still more to be said for the subject of purpose, in the sense that now that we've talked about what we all currently think about whether or not there is an overall purpose, maybe we could discuss, since we mostly agree that there is no overall purpose, what should be our overall purpose? You know, what does each of us think? You know, what direction should we go in?
I'll go last since I'm the host of the show. I'll go last. Anybody got any input on that?
Well, my thing is, okay, you always are trying to change the world and convert people or deconvert people. I was thinking about this today, that maybe we're never going to deconvert the entire world, and that's very idealistic of you, and that's great for you to think that we can. But my thing is, let's do our best to keep them out of our laws. I mean, I think everybody here is American, right? Everybody's here in the U.S.?
Yeah, right.
We need to fight to keep the Christians or any religion out of our laws. We sit here on YouTube and we make videos and we comment to theists, but I think the thing that we need to do is figure out a way to make sure, because they're fighting to put all their bullshit in our laws.
Right.
Right?
Right.
We need to fight harder to keep them from succeeding in that.
True.
That's just my point of view.
Yeah, and that's a good purpose. See, the purpose, we all have personal purposes. You know, like my kids, my wife, my health. These are all purposes for me in life.
Right.
But also creating my YouTube channels, whether I earn a penny or not, that's not why I do it. It's only it only plays a part of it. But I started it when I wasn't making any money, and with really no intent of doing so, because they wouldn't even monetize, I don't think, when I first made my first videos. But you know, we have to fight against the bullshit and the bigotry, and the policies, and all of the changes in law, like Robin was talking about, because it affects us, it affects our children, and it's turning. The tide is turning in our direction. I mean, look how many states now accept gay people. You know, I mean, when I say, I mean, like, as far as gay marriage is concerned.
Equality is a beautiful thing.
But yeah, that's a lot of my purposes there.
They'll figure out another way to stop that, though. I mean, we still need to fight. That fight's not over.
Right. Oh,
that marriage equality fight is not over. It's just beginning, actually. I don't see the reason why people, I mean, two men getting married, what business is that of anybody else's but theirs? Exactly. It's the problem is they focus on what those two men do in their bedroom. And it's got nothing to do with what two women do. It's really only got to do with what two men do in the bedroom that really disgust them.
Everyone loves lesbians.
Listen, when I'm in an argument...
Women don't matter, you know.
That's true. I forgot about that. I forgot about that.
From a Judeo-Christian point of view, it's kind of true.
That's true. That's true. Well, also, when I'm in an argument with a homophobe, I always ask them, and this only works with men, I'll always ask them, okay, so if you're so against homosexuality, how do you feel when you watch two women go at it? Well, usually I do not get a public comment from them. I usually start getting people.
Well, yeah, no. Oh, he's back in.
There he is.
I missed it. Oh, no. Well, at least it didn't shut the show down when my computer went out. I was like, oh, no, the show shut down. But yay for Google+. Thank you for that.
I'd just like to chime in. I think we have a larger problem than these individual battles. A lot of moralists and control freaks would like to keep us fighting one tiny little battle after another. And they'll come up with a new one as soon as the old one is over. I mean, civil rights went through this, voting rights went through this, suffragettes, and they keep inventing a new oppression for people to fight against, rather than dealing with the larger value issues that we want a whole generation of kids to start adopting. And that's where I think the real push isn't really with these extremists or with even the politicians so much, is with the main body of people who are kind of enabling this situation and looking the other way and not taking on a real stance for their children's future. You know,
Yeah.
once they do that, we can address the overall critical thinking, rational thinking point of view. That'll eliminate these phony little scenarios they set up for us, and they've been doing it for years. And it's not just politicians; it's people who want control. Will come up with the tiniest little thing to object to you about and get you focused on fighting that little battle, so that you're missing the overall picture. And I think
Exactly.
that's where I want to go with my channel, is to address the larger issue of values that we are ignoring as a culture.
Exactly.
Okay, that's my soapbox.
Yeah. I guess I'll jump in with my opinion now. I don't think Glenn, you didn't elaborate. Why don't you elaborate first? I'll go last. I'm the host. I don't care.
I think I did.
Well, then I'll say my piece. First of all, I don't need to deconvert everybody. I just need 51%. Honestly, like I just need 51%. I'm tired of ignorance ruling, and I've only been an atheist since February, so I mean, I don't know if I have much I can actually say about it, but it's bullshit. It's fucking bullshit, man. And the thing is it's not just my subjective purpose, okay, is to change the world, okay? And the thing is it's not just for my kids, it's for all the kids, especially the starving ones, okay? I don't see this world progressing. I don't see transhumanism happen. I don't see fiat-based currency going away while religion is breathing. Now, there can be a couple crazies that keep their freaking religious beliefs behind closed doors, and they can be called theists, and we'll just be called people instead of being called atheists. That's fine. I don't care. As long as they're not shoving it down any children's throats, and if they are, they should have their children taken from them for child abuse. Freaking child abuse, like tell your children lies on purpose. But as subjective purpose for me, yes, I want to help change the world. I want to unite atheists together. I want to be heard. And I recently put up my video for what is it called, Glenn?
Well, you've put up several.
No, the one for the the donation.
Oh, okay. Are you talking about the website I was sharing with you?
Yeah. What is that called?
That is called Patreon.
Patreon. I made a Patreon video, and I explained to people that I really like doing this, and I kind of like doing it for a living, and there is help me.
We hadn't noticed.
But the thing is I'm gonna miss out on my children's lives. They're gonna miss out on having a father around the whole time, but that's fine. I'll do that. I'll do whatever I have to do to take care of my boys. I will, and I'm gonna make videos whether I make a penny or not, and I'm gonna make quality content. But there is a way that people can support my channel with, I don't know, $1, maximum $5 a month, or whatever you want to do, or just be subbed and watch my videos because I'm monetized. If I can make a living off of YouTube, I will be an awesome fucking YouTuber. And if I can't make a living off of it, I'll be an awesome YouTuber, and I'll be a moral atheist patriot soldier, and I will be proud of that. And I will just enjoy whatever time I get with my kids. I'll do whatever I gotta do. But that's a little bit about, since Glenn mentioned money and stuff. Sorry, money exists, and it's fiat, and it's faith-based, and you kind of gotta have it. And if you agree with it, then don't donate. I don't care. And if you don't like it, get the fuck out. Bye. See you. There's a fucking door. You don't have to sub to me. I'm not making you. But I digress.
Well, I want to throw in
Go ahead.
something, and this is kind of based a little bit on what each of y'all have already said. For one, I do think that it is entirely possible that we will eliminate religion or faith-based thinking at some point in the future. And this is why I say that. It's because I think if we can survive and become the majority, and you know, treat peaceably, treat, you know, theism and theists, the religious, the faith-based thinkers, peaceably and kindly and with reason, that because of our technology, the rate at which our technology is advancing, there will come a time, I think, in the relatively near future, where the idea or the worry about God, whether or not there is a God, will become obsolete. No one will think about it. It won't. That's how you'll eliminate, you know, the religious or faith-based thinking, is there'll come a time when it's not even a consideration anymore.
What we got to do is we got to understand how the universe came about without a God, and then God has no place anymore. I don't think
that's even necessary, dude.
No.
I really don't, because I think one of the reasons why atheism has grown as quickly as it has is because of stuff like this,
Right.
and the internet and things like that. The
Google.
There are so fewer things that people wish for. Because at the heart of it, theism, religious thinking, is wish thinking. And so as more and more things become possible and convenient and readily available, so much of that wishful thinking will go right out the window, I think. And so what I think will eventually happen is, yeah, right now we got to struggle and we got to fight, like exactly what you're talking about, Kawhi. We got to fight and try to get these messages out there and get people actually thinking about these things. But there'll come a time, I really do think, assuming we survive, we won't have to fight for that anymore. Not because, you know, people won't, within their genetic makeup, have a propensity for faith-based thinking, but because opportunities for faith-based thinking won't come up so much. You won't have to wish for so many things.
Yeah,
you won't have to wish for an afterlife. There'll be transhumanism. You won't have to wish for a quick death. There'll actually be, I personally think, there'll be euthanasia. I think it'll become a fairly common thing. It'll be regulated, but I think it'll come if we survive. It'll have to, because of our overpopulation problem.
Yeah, I think once we become transhumans too, we'll just be able to turn ourselves off without any pain.
Yeah, and I think we're already getting there. We're already, how you were saying about transhumanism earlier, about how, well, you know, we need to maybe eventually do that. We're already doing that. When you think about this, not more than, say, 200 years ago, there were no vaccines. There was almost no real medicine to speak of. So all this medicine and science we use to keep ourselves alive and to make our lives longer and blah blah blah, all that stuff, that is transhumanism. If you took a regular human being and you say a family, and you put them out in the nude, cold, with no tools, and said, okay, go ahead and live your lives however you're gonna, average lifespan maybe 30, maybe. We are transhuman. This is just the beginning, that's all.
Yeah,
that's why I think
it's a good point.
And religion will become more and more irrelevant. I think that's your point, is religion, we at some point, people won't have to fight against it because it'll just be irrelevant.
Right.
Yeah, it's true.
But Robin's right that right now we do need to fight it, because
definitely.
There are those, especially within the Judeo-Christian religions, that want to fight transhumanism, which is really what we are, is transhuman. I never thought of it that way, actually, until just this conversation, but really that's what it is. They're fighting our ascendance out of the evolutionary process, because, you know, to be honest, we have taken ourselves out of the evolutionary process. We don't, we regulate who we mate with and under what conditions, and you know what I'm saying? And so, you know, like there was a time when someone, like, say, with Down syndrome, or, you know, with other, you know, some other type of very serious affliction, there's no way that person would be allowed to mate, people would kill that person off, or nature would kill that person off.
Right.
That's not true anymore. It used to be a guy with, no legs almost stood no chance of mating. Now he does. That we've taken ourselves out of evolution to a very large extent.
Lately, what theists need to realize is, I didn't realize this until I became an atheist, is they need to be really thankful to atheists. Atheists invented the fucking internet. Atheists invented
a lot more than that.
Atheists invented cell phones. Atheists, 85% of all doctors, 85% of all physicists and scientists, they're all atheists, and they're helping humanity now, not just wanting to make it to fucking heaven. They're helping people, like, live and eat and have clean water.
That's only because God allows them to.
Exactly.
God inspires them.
He inspires
That's right.
them. He guides
That's what
their
I used to
hands.
Right.
Yeah.
We'll let PW talk in a second here because he's been quiet lately.
Yeah,
I wanted
he's
to
been
hear
quiet.
our conversation, but let me read a couple comments. Trying to make sure this stays interactive. Face Shed, maybe PW can elaborate this. Said, so far all you guys have talked about is what is good to do. But if you're going to talk about reason for life, then you have to show that good is something we should do, right? What do you think? Is good something we should do, PW?
Well, are we talking about an objective good or a subjective good to me?
I don't know. You put good in quotes, so I guess you can do that.
It's subjective then. I'm taking it as a we have to define what is good, what is better than something else. We do that all the time, especially in medicine and fields of science, and we're always working on that issue. I think trying to define for everybody else what is, got it? What is good is kind of a tough thing to do, but I think we can get a general idea if we use things like this critical thinking scientific method to kind of determine as a group, kind of be able to discuss what is better than something else. And yeah, I do think we should push for that. One of the things when I'm listening to this is that religion is the first necessary step. It's not the final step by any means, but there will be harmful dogma, whether it's political, secular, religious, or whatever. These are methods. These are tools people use to kind of control resources and control other people. But religion, certainly magical thinking, has to be the first step to eliminate because it's the most difficult for people to let go of. Once they let go of that and start using critical thinking, I think there'll be a lot smoother transition into a more rational type society where we use our resources more effectively. I mean, right now it's not a matter of our economic systems are skewered to the point where a kid comes out of college and he has school debt, or she has school debt, and has to start paying medical insurance. Health and education are two things a young person should never go into debt over, ever. I mean, that's something, if we're going to have a community, and we want smart, healthy kids, if we do that, they'll take care of the problems in the future. They'll do that. But if you have an unhealthy child trying to learn and under a huge amount of debt, they're not going to do as well. They're really not going to progress, and honestly, we shouldn't expect them to help provide for us when we're older, if that's how we treat them when we start out. I went a long way there, so let me kind of backtrack. Yeah, I do think progressing towards that end of trying to find a way to create a community and a lifestyle that honestly meets people's needs. However that is affected in your community or in your life or in your personal world, I think that's a thing that's going to make you feel the best about what you're doing. Now, what that is up to debate, of course.
To elaborate on what you said, briefly, and what me and Mark have been talking about is, okay, 1% of this population owns 99% of the resources, and they utilize religion to teach people how to be slaves. Now, the thing is they're not going to let us become transhumans. They're not going to just roll over and let religion die. I honestly think any atheist that's watching this needs to realize that to have change requires a revolution. And revolution has always, in history, cost lives. There will be a war if we let it. There will be a war if we let it happen.
Hold on a second, Kwai. Hold on a second. Not to steal a line from, not to steal their motto from Christianity, but they will be assimilated. They have no choice as regards transhumanism. They're already doing it. The internet, medicine, their cars, all these things, as they become more and more advanced and, more importantly, convenient and readily available, they will adopt them. They'll have to in order to continue to be competitive with us.
They're already doing it, and they don't even realize they're doing it.
Exactly. They will be assimilated without even realizing it. And you can already see that reflected in the number of, in the portion of the youth that is just foregoing the theistic aspect altogether. Even that are coming from religious families, and they're like, I don't really see anything to that. No, I don't care about that. These people, some of these youth are almost, this sounds strange because it was never really a thing, but you could say that they're trans atheists.
Exactly.
In a way.
If they have this in their home or a computer in their home, they already have atheism.
And they don't care about not gods. They don't care.
They don't.
Because it just doesn't affect them, and they can see that. And that's the kind of shit I'm talking about. I'm sorry. That's the kind of stuff I'm talking about when I'm saying we will become the gods that we used to imagine, where we won't worry about stuff like that.
Well, what can God do that we can't already do right now?
That's true. That is
Nothing.
actually very true. The theist will say, create life.
No, we can create life.
I can create life right now.
Yeah,
Well,
Robin's done it.
I've done it a couple of times.
Robin's already done it.
Hey, he does magic tricks.
But I mean, think about it. We could blow up the
Robin,
world.
Robin,
God loves
it didn't
killing
happen.
I didn't hear you, Mark. I'm sorry.
Picks or it didn't happen.
I mean, the God of the Bible is kind of a capricious person, and I call him kind of a character person because we're supposed to be made in His image, so we kind of know what He looks like, and we know that He has very strong and kind of unstable emotions. Noah's Ark is a great example. The flood, we've all kind of read through that.
Yeah,
and
even the garden story is an amazing overreaction.
Well, yeah, to someone. I mean, to me, that whole story was basically about he liked to watch people naked who didn't know they were naked. He was a peeping Tom.
Well, who does?
Once they found out he would, the knowledge.
I like how he made trees before he made the sun.
Well,
right.
Well, this is the part that gets me, and I hate to go off into a whole other territory, but that's what I do. I'm a tangent king. So this is the thing that gets me about the Garden of Eden story. Like, a lot of people will focus on the whole aspect of all the inconsistencies, the technical inconsistencies, or God's anger or His peeping Tomness. But this is the thing that gets me, is that if you ignore all those factors and you consider the story from a father and child perspective, the example I like to give is this. Imagine that you are a father and you have two toddlers, and you tell your two toddlers, I'm going to let you play in the garden in the backyard, right? But there is a fence there, and behind that fence, you, as the father, know that there is a vicious dog that is trained to attack children. And so you tell your children, hey, whatever you do, don't open that fence. I'm telling you, don't open it. You'll regret it. But you don't necessarily tell them what's behind the fence, right? Well, so your kids go out there, and now you see your kids playing in this backyard, and you see that one of them is about to open that fence. Do you stand with arms folded and say, oh, I told you not to open that fence. And then one of them opens the fence, the dog comes in, mauls one of the children immediately, just starts ripping them apart. Meanwhile, you as a father stand back and continue to say, I told you. Didn't I tell you? Is that what you do? Is that what you do as a father?
Genesis is actually worse than that, though, Mark. I mean, because he pretended he didn't even know what happened. He came down to the garden, walked around, and said, where are you guys?
Yeah.
And they said, well, we're naked.
We're naked.
Right.
We're naked. We're hiding.
And the first thing he told them was, you'll die if you eat from that tree. It was the snake. Snake was the only one that was honest and said no, you're not going to die.
Yeah. Satanist, evil Satanist, atheist.
Yeah, but my point of all that is that people are going to, especially people who are younger today, are going to look at these stories and they won't be able to reconcile. There are people who are in my generation who kind of say, well, they're allegories, or that's not the purpose of the Bible. They really try to smooth this over so they can still go to church and believe, and they don't have to make choices.
Well, PW, that's the reason why I bring up this example, though, is because this is, in my opinion, the easiest way amongst our kind of generation to make the case that from the very beginning, the supposed God, A, did not have any interest in our protection, and B, is demonstrably less moral and less of a good parent than your average human being of any culture.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And so, in my opinion, some would probably try to argue, but I have yet to see a theist have a comeback for that. When I'm like, not only does he stand there and let the kids get mauled, but then as the kids are getting mauled, he says, you know what? Since you did that, every child I have from now on in the future, the dog gets them automatically. Because you disobeyed.
Yeah, there's no satisfactory explanation.
Yeah, it's just like that awesome video by NumberOneSon, God is no father. It's the exact same story, and that is like one of the most powerful videos in the entire YouTube. I'll leave a link in the description below. Over. You have to watch that. Atheist or theist, you have to watch. God is no father. I'm a flawed human being, man, and I did some not necessarily evil, but I made some mistakes with my children. I would never act like Yahweh or Allah, ever.
See also, let me plug here. See also my poem Deadbeat.
Deadbeat? Okay, well I'll link it in the description below.
Okay.
I like the title. It's good.
Let me get a little bit of interaction here. First of all, Careful Atheist. She's joined in. I like her. She's a big supporter of my channel. She says that more people need to know about this show. Well, guess what? It's going to be on the Atheist Hub, so more people will. It's going to happen. Atheist Hub is great. Link in the description below. As always, man, I always like the Atheist Hub. And let me plug in some thoughts from my mother, because she wanted to join, but she left voluntarily because of the panel. She says that the Bible, Koran, and no, wait, this is the one I wanted to read. Hold on. She says, I think that people's desire for purpose was the main reason for the creation of God, and then to the ability of others to take advantage of the whole God concept. And I'd have to agree with that.
That's absolutely right.
And then she said, let's see here, one more thing she said, the Bible, Quran, and other holy books we put in the right section of the library, the fiction section. On the shelf marked stupid things people actually used to believe in. So I'm cool with that. But yeah, and I see the last thing holding back people from coming to grips with reality is the whole afterlife thing. They just want to live forever. It's greed. It's greed. I mean, that nobody would worship God. Nobody would give 10% of their income. Nobody would spend Sunday afternoon being bored if they weren't going to get a present from their adult Santa Claus.
Well, that's true. That's why they keep believing, because of what they're going to get after they die. That's their purpose, to live another life. They don't even have a purpose to live in this life. You know?
But those are
Your purpose
exactly
is to go somewhere else.
those are exactly the people that we need to be interacting with the most.
Absolutely.
It's not these apologists. It's not Bible thumping wingnut, and it's not
used car salesman. You mean?
it's not Rand Campbell. Whatever. It's not those people, because Christians don't even pay attention to each other. They don't even like each other. I kind of look at it as the people who, Westboro Baptist is seen as a joke by everybody. The problem I have is that when Westboro Baptist goes and pickets a soldier's funeral and puts those crazy signs up there, I don't see a Christian in the area with a sign saying you're wrong.
Right.
I don't see a Christian saying anything. I see atheists doing it, doing the heavy lifting. But to be honest with you, these YouTube Christians wouldn't have anything without us. They wouldn't. They'd only have each other, and they don't even like each other. I mean, the only play they get is from the atheist community, and I've kind of decided for myself, I'm not dealing with them anymore, because they're not the issue for me. Now, for others, they might be, and they might need to be engaged in some debates, just simply to kind of put them in their place. But for me, I'm looking at the mainstream, ideologues, whether it's political or religious, and the people who aren't devoting time to it but are voting or going to church and giving money and blindly kind of enabling all of this, those are the people that are critical in my eyes. And for what I want to do is deal with these folks, because they're the ones supporting the structure. These wingnuts, these wingnuts on the side they're not doing anything except getting attention for themselves. That's all they're doing.
Well, to some extent, they do something.
Well, you're right. No, I don't want to minimize it completely. You're right.
They help empower people to stay into that mentality.
That's true.
This may sound vain, but I swear, in a number of arguments, when I've broken a person down to a point where they actually start to think about it, they will turn to folk like Saitan or J.P. Holding and stuff, and look for their excuses from those guys.
Right.
So in that sense, it is still important to fight those guys.
No, there is a group.
I entirely agree with you. They should not be the focus.
Yeah. There is a group that
our focus is your neighbor and your coworker and your child and your aunt. Those are the people. You are totally right on that. Those are the people that will really make a difference.
What I'm thinking, the people I'm thinking of wouldn't know who William Lane Craig is. They wouldn't know her. They wouldn't know who he is. They're just traditionalists, and this is part of the structure, just like capitalism is part of the structure. Christianity.
Well, what about people who don't know those names, but because they've never been challenged, because we were a Christian nation, those people have never been challenged, so then they start to seek out those types. There are people who dig in like that.
No, that's true.
They're rare, but it happens.
Meadow, come on, you have to come downstairs. Come on.
Yeah, especially with sometimes younger people. They'll do that, and there has to be a rebuttal. I agree. I am not saying that at all. But what I am looking at is a major part of the fight, for me anyway, is how we deal with kind of that mainstream enabler who's not really invested, but is creating the support for the structure itself. How do we deal with them? And when they look to us and say, well, okay, I'll give up my beliefs, what do you got instead? We better have an answer.
Yeah. Well,
we better not be saying, and I'm not saying we should have something like Atheism Plus. I'm saying we should be able to promote critical thinking, rational thinking, logic, skepticism. We should be able to identify that very quickly and very easily and how that applies to a person's life.
Well,
and be able to...
What do you think about this, PW? Gosh, what was my thought? He said so many things, and it's all...
I know.
There's so many levels to it, But
a ramble.
Okay, but no, you weren't rambling. It was all so on point that I thought of several different things at once on different points. But the thing I really wanted to get to is I wanted to ask you, what about folk that, like, let's say, this is one of the reasons why now I'm changing my mind in this very moment, that it is equally important to fight the Psi-10s and the JP Holdings and the Ray Comforts. And here's why I think that is. I feel like whenever the folk that you and I interact with, like, us, I'm sorry, guys, all of us interact with on a regular basis, these regular folk who may or may not have ever heard of any of these names, these, the William Lane Craigs and stuff. I think it is a very powerful thing for them when, let's say they've never heard those names, and we start breaking down the arguments for a God, right? And so then they do, that rare individual, especially the youth, since they tend to be internet savvy, seeks out the apologetics or seeks out something. Maybe their clergy says, oh, you need to read some, C.S. Lewis or something. And so they start doing some searches, right? I think it is super duper powerful for us when they seek out that person. Somebody says, oh, you need to watch some Psi-10 videos because, he'll break down them atheists and show you that they don't have any kind of argument at all. And then they go to his video, and they already see our responses. Hundreds of them, hundreds of responses.
I think that's a very good point. I do, and it's places like the Atheist Hub. I think are a great base camp for all of that. It's been a godsend in a way, to a phrase I like. But I really do. I don't think it's unnecessary. That's not my point. I'm looking at they've been flagging a lot lately because they're losing arguments. So they're flagging a lot of videos. Essence of Thought just got flagged.
Why did his video get flagged?
Because he got flagged for the part of the video that the person he was criticizing, he used their piece, and that guy complained saying that was inflammatory. His own video was, and it got flagged. Now it got put back up because that's a ridiculous argument.
Yeah,
but that
you're allowed
happens a
to
lot.
critique. You're allowed to critique and criticize other people and
Sure.
give commentary, parody, even just whatever.
But it's their way of defending themselves.
They
They
have no
have no
argument left.
defense.
Right.
So
Right.
that's the way they do it.
Right.
Robin's correct. Robin's
They
correct.
will silence us.
So,
Yeah. So they do need to be fought.
Atheism Defended.
My
Atheism
point.
Defended had that happen just recently, and I don't know if you ever watch him. And he
Who?
can be a bit inflammatory.
Who's that?
Atheism Defended.
No, yeah. He had one just recently. Yeah.
No,
I think
not
he-
at all.
He can be really abrasive, but
I like the guy.
he is rarely wrong. He's
Yeah.
abrasive just because he's kind of got a up north kind of accent and attitude, but. Well, I'm from Detroit, so he reminds me a lot of that kind of general area.
So
Yeah.
Mark,
He comes across as abrasive, but he's rarely wrong. And so since they couldn't fight his argument, they started flagging the crap out of his videos, man.
Right.
Mark,
Right.
so is YouTube going to side with the atheists on freedom of speech, or these
They
videos
almost
that are
never-
getting flagged?
They'll side with the money.
Very rare.
No, they'll side with the money and the profits. Whatever.
Side with whoever brings the most ad revenue, from what I've noticed. Like big time atheists, like Almighty Atheists and stuff like that. Not Almighty. I'm sorry.
Amazing Atheists?
Yeah, like he can probably get away with whatever he wants. I mean, I'm not claiming that, but just because he brings in ad revenue, honestly.
Yeah.
Actually, you guys are right. Kawhi and PW, you guys are actually both right, because I just remembered. I recently watched an episode of The Lion Ghost Show. Did you watch the most recent one?
I missed that.
On the most recent one, one of the commenters, one of the guests, I can't remember which one, actually has some insight into the formula that is used that determines whether or not your videos can be taken down. And it really is just a numbers game.
Mm-hmm.
And it's actually surprisingly easy to make your videos potentially almost unflaggable, like they can't be taken down. It's actually quite easy, but it's a pain in the butt as far as organization-wise, like trying to keep your stuff organized. Huh?
Share.
Yeah, share about that.
Oh, well, the basic premise, you'd have to go and watch some of the episodes, but the basic idea is that if you have just one or two videos on your entire channel, because it goes by a percentage of your content that has been flagged. If you only have 1 or 2 videos, it makes it really, really hard for them to actually shut that channel down. So the idea then is to create multiple channels and just have 1 or 2 videos on each channel, and then it's almost impossible for them to shut you down if you do it that way.
Say that again.
You create multiple channels and only have 1 or 2 of your videos per channel, and because of the way the rules work, because it has something to do with the percentage of your content and the number of flags against that content, against each individual content, it makes it very, very difficult to shut your channel down. Now, they can flag your video, but if they can't prove that the video content is ill, it won't shut your channel down. That video will be dropped until you can get it re-added. But it makes it really hard for them to totally shut you down. You know how like people will get booted for a month from their own channel and stuff like that? It makes it almost impossible to do.
I think another way to go about it also is fair use allows for education, to use copyright material for education and for criticism. And what the hell else is atheism but criticism and education? Right. So just learning.
Does that factor into how you what category you put your video in then? Because I put mine in entertainment.
I put mine in education.
Assuming that very same thing, because I figured.
Yeah, I don't.
You're considering the arts, and
I think if they want to mess with a video, they will. I mean, yeah. I have one that's called what Christians really believe, and at first they refused to monetize it because they said that I didn't show proof of copyright for the material, so I showed them proof of copyright for the material. Then they changed their mind and said that it was unfriendly to advertisers. Okay, so they wouldn't monetize it then. I responded with, so is, ad block, which is produced by your employer, Google. That's more unfriendly to advertisers than I am. And I said, and what's worse is that I have the Mormons advertising on my site on that video. Okay, so who are we talking? They didn't respond to me. They just said, and that's fine. I mean, that's $10 I'll miss. Okay, big deal. I'm just saying that if they want to take a position, they will. They may be friendly for a while, and then they'll just shut the door on you and just say that's the end of it. I really don't see anything beyond that as far as they can change the rules. I will. Yeah.
The other way, by the way, I'm sorry, in that discussion that he mentions making your channel almost unflaggable, and this goes down to individual videos, is if your channel has, I think he said it's something like if you have 300 or more videos and 20,000 subscribers or more, it makes your channel almost impossible to shut down. But anywhere in between that very few and a whole lot of content range, you're screwed. But
pretty much.
He gave the math and stuff and why he believes that this is true.
He did research on it, a lot of research?
Yeah, he had some evidence. Now, one thing he did mention, though, is that these formulae and stuff that he came up with, and with the bit of inside information he had and research he did, this was prior to the recent changes.
Oh, okay.
So he says it may have changed. It may. You'd have to test out the theory.
Do you think it's getting easier for people's channels to get their content? What's getting flagged is the videos, right? Not the actual channel.
Individual videos usually.
Yeah.
Usually individual videos. But if you get 3 videos, I believe it works like this. If you get 3 videos struck down within a certain range of time, and you're not like a super big channel or a really small channel, then they're going to shut your channel down for 30 days or whatever they're.
Well, what if people are just randomly doing it? Are they going to punish the people that are just haphazardly going out and flagging videos?
They can, but it's very rare that anybody pushes it that far. If you want to see a great example of that, is go back and look at. Do you subscribe to Thunderfoot?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go back and he's got a whole series on what he went through with Venom Fang X, who was falsely accusing him of stuff and had his channel and his videos shut down, and he actually had to go through like lawyers and stuff.
Wow.
And went through a whole thing. And when all was said and done, YouTube actually pushed back in the other direction, and we're going to shut Venom Fang X down. And actually, in a letter, told him, "You can't ever have a YouTube channel again."
And he had
what he did.
Didn't he have to apologize?
Yes, only because Thunderfoot took the higher ground and stepped in on his defense and said, "No, I don't want to censor him."
Yeah, see, I'm that way too. I don't.
He said, "I'll accept an apology and then let him do what he wants."
I believe in free speech, but from both camps. I don't think atheists should be over there flagging their videos.
Thank you.
I mean, both sides.
Absolutely.
Both sides say smart-ass stuff about each other, and YouTube just needs to just get the hell out of the way and let us have free speech.
Yeah.
I honestly think that there should be huge ramifications for falsely flagging, like your IP gets blocked, because everyone can just create 1 million sock accounts, but your actual IP, I mean,
right?
Yeah.
If you do like 3 of them, you're out the door. You want to.
Yeah.
It's evil.
Cartesian theist comes to mind. Yeah.
Right.
There's like 12 sock puppet accounts.
Let me throw in another comment or two, and then I'm going to ask Robin a question for 2 reasons. 1, so that we can talk about a different subject, and 2, so that Robin can talk, because Robin has been quiet lately.
Yeah.
My mother's.
I don't know anything about all this stuff, so.
No,
I'm
going to
tiny
ask you about
channel.
something that I think you do know about,
Okay.
because I follow you, and all of your comments and stuff come through my feed. One of my mother's last comments before she had to leave and stop watching the show was, "I think religion has best another generation or 2. Information is going to overcome their belief system," and I agree with that. And then I called Careful Atheist a girl, and he said, "Sorry, dude. Careful Atheist is a he. Just saying. Checked my underwear and found a stick shift." And so sorry. I don't know. Usually I assume every YouTuber is a male. I don't know. I think it's just because the name. I don't know.
Be careful about saying
bad,
using the euphemism there. No, I'm kidding.
My bad,
I'm kidding.
Sorry, bruh. But my question is, Robin, I saw that you commented on this guy's video about he was arguing against atheism, and he actually said something that I don't know how to defend yet. I can defend almost anything, but he was saying that Abraham Lincoln, we can't prove he exists, and all we have is historical and eyewitness testimony. And he was using that to try to prove a point. How do you go about defending that standpoint? Because I don't know how to.
Well, there is eyewitness testimony of Abraham Lincoln, but there's no eyewitness testimony of God.
Right.
I mean, come on. That's pretty simple. Show me God.
There are photos of Abraham.
People had seen Abraham Lincoln.
And
nobody has ever seen God.
We have his grave, his actual body.
Exactly.
There's
we have
photos.
his DNA will be there.
Brain.
Exactly. People who witnessed the murder. That's so stupid. I mean, I couldn't even believe he brought that up. It was ridiculous.
He stumped me. I mean, he stumped me. I was like, he was like, there's no empirical evidence of.
But God was never in. God, I mean, except for I guess Jesus. But God, there's no body. there's no DNA. Where's the DNA? You can dig
another
up.
factor too. Another factor to defend against that is the things that Abraham Lincoln. Let's say if we didn't have all this evidence of Abraham Lincoln, the things that Abraham Lincoln is said to have done, while exceptional, while great things are said that he did, none of them are miraculous.
Right.
So,
Nothing's magic.
Right. So you can, it's a lot. It all goes back to the for extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? So if you want to claim, let's say, because I personally, from the research I've looked at, don't believe that there was truly a historical Jesus as depicted in the Bible, right?
Right.
But let's say if somebody wants to argue with me and say that no, there really was, and these experts agree. Okay, I'll grant you that. Let's say there was. I won't argue with you about it anymore.
Yep.
But guess what? If you want to say that he walked the earth, that's fine. But don't you dare say he's a god, because it wouldn't matter if there was a man named Jesus. It wouldn't matter if we had videotape of Jesus being hung on the cross.
Yeah.
There's no evidence that he's the Son of God.
The existence of God.
Right.
Exactly.
Right.
I could just as well say Tesla was a god. He was the god of electricity.
Right.
Tesla was the god of thunder. Now what?
Yeah, we can dig up Abraham Lincoln. We can't dig up Jesus Christ because evidently he rose from the dead and went somewhere.
Well, when it comes
then
to
where did he go after that?
when it comes to any kind of evidence or proof, we do use the word reasonable in almost every way that anytime we discuss something, there is a level of reasonableness. You can make a rule that basically, you can't prove anything. Nothing can be proven.
Sorry.
Hello. I mean, you could make a philosophical argument that nothing could be proven ever under any circumstances. But that's not a reasonable way to look at the world or think about things. When it comes to Abraham Lincoln, we have a reasonable enough level of evidence to know that he existed.
Right.
And we have no evidence of Jesus existing, so it's not even to the level of reasonable.
Correct. We have the Bible. Hello.
Yeah, right.
We forgot.
Oh, the Bible, which
look, this.
That's the Word of God, man. You know
in the books written about Jesus, they weren't.
Which Bible are we talking about here?
Atheists love Bibles.
There are lots of Bibles. There are lots of Bibles. I don't know which one is that. The Mormon Bible or the Jehovah Witness Bible? Or?
This is the King James version.
Oh, so you've got.
I'm gonna get unicorns pretty soon.
I got the Mormon here somewhere. I got the Jehovah's Witness New World Translation here.
This is enough for me.
There's a lot of Bibles.
Full of the flying spaghetti monster.
I feel left out. I don't have a Bible sitting by. I used to have about 30 of them.
Glenn!
Glenn,
But that brings up.
Read your Bible, Glenn. We need
I'm
more
such a heathen. I'm such a heathen. I don't have a Bible.
I think that brings up.
Atheist
That brings up a point that I kind of wanted to point out when I talk about. No, it's about Christians who don't protest issues, except for atheists. That's the only one they go after. They now ask an evangelical Protestant what they think of Mormonism and getting a planet when you die and things like that. They don't talk about that stuff. They don't go after each other. And it's very telling to me the only group they'll go after, are people they think are soft targets for them politically. Okay, but they don't talk. They don't talk about Westboro Baptist. They don't talk about faith healing deaths of children. They don't say anything. I had to do a video on the faith healing, thanks to Robin, bringing up the subject of the Pennsylvania couple, the Swivels, who lost their second child. And I'm being generous when I say lost.
Lost?
Yeah, I am being very generous here. They're serial killers in my book. You know. Now, here's the thing. Here's where it gets really ugly for me. You guys know Live Life 8072?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. So he puts out, he goes on and he debates like 8 Christians, and he just slaughters them.
Yeah.
Their response, they were so impressed with this guy, they all did individual videos trying to bring him to Jesus, okay? That's how much they love this guy. Now, I'm really offended because I've been on Bible Thumper Wingnut Show and nobody tried to bring me to Jesus.
Poor Franken Sexy.
Okay, so I'm okay with that. But here's the thing. A couple weeks later, he puts out a video about that Christianity is a form of mental illness, can be. Okay, and there's a lot of disclaimers when he first, at the very beginning of this video, saying, I'm not a professional, this is my opinion, I'm not talking about all Christians, but I think there are many Christians who are delusional, who say they hear God's voice, and under any other circumstances, they wouldn't get a free pass, they'd be called mentally ill. He puts that out. Once he puts that out, he had been asked to be part of a benefit, Mental Health Ireland, to be on the panel of that. They booted him off the panel for this. Other atheists did, okay, for bringing this up because it offended so many people, including the religious, okay. Here's my point about this is that if we get to a point where we can't say, this is a delusion to talk to an invisible man and to hear his voice, if you don't think that's delusional thinking, okay, then you're not really part of the change. You're not really part of changing anything. And we need to be able to stand up and say, it's fucking crazy, excuse me, it's crazy to think that way and to talk that way and to teach children that there's this an invisible man spying on you, kind of an adult version of Santa Claus, and that he was going to burn you in hell, no matter what, if you don't do exactly what you think he might want you to do. You know, that's just all he pointed out, and he was attacked. You know, he was attacked by atheists and booted off this thing. And he comes back with a video saying, look, because he'd advertised that he was going to be honest. So he comes back with a video and says, I'm not going to be on the show, and there is a problem. It's my last video offended a lot of, you know, the people who are putting this on, and he said, I really want you to go and give money to this. It's a great cause, and he was totally supportive, and he was attacked for doing that. There comes a point where we have to have a little bit of solidarity in what we're doing, or if you don't like how Live Life approaches issues, then don't put them on a panel in the first place where you think someone might get offended, because believe me, the atheists like him or like us will offend people, especially the religious, right? So don't play that game and then turn around and say you're a victim of something. This is the problem I have with that kind of. There are areas of hands off, okay, and it's kind of like mainstream Christians will be hands off when it comes to, you know, Westboro Baptist or those the Shibels. But even atheists will have hands off when it comes to like mental illness, and saying there is a degree of mental illness involved in this. If nothing else, at least delusions. They're not just wrong about
you know why I think that is, PW? It's because I think so many of us are former believers, and since there's such a stigma around mental illness, people have this conception that. I think most people have this conception that a person who has mental illness, a crazy person, is forever crazy. They are forever warped and somehow broken. I personally, for one, as an atheist, will readily admit that my theism, my Christianity, that was fucking mental illness. I have no problem saying that I was mentally ill. And maybe to some extent, I still am. I think most people are to some small extent. So I don't have a problem saying that. But
and I see it as an illness. I do.
Right.
I do see.
Are like, no,
no different than a broken leg.
That's what they think you're saying when you say that, and that's what they think Live Life is saying. You're basically saying that I'm a crazy person. And
well, I think it is. I think it's. You can be temporarily crazy. I think you can do that.
No, I embrace that. Well, what I'm saying is that that's how they're reacting.
I know.
Most people have this stigma, like, don't you say I was crazy, or maybe their family are still believers, because I've had that response from people is, you know, my mom's still a Christian. Don't you dare say it's a mental illness.
And that's the real issue, I believe.
Right. And then I'll say, well, hey, in my opinion, I was crazy when I was a theist. I literally thought I was getting messages from God.
Yeah.
And to not go into too fine a detail, because it's a whole other show, I did some crazy fucking shit. I mean, crazy stuff that now I look back on and I pity old me, and at the same time I'm mad at old me for not recognizing that I was ill.
But it's a learning process as well. I mean, any human being is going to try to figure out if there's a power source greater than themselves. You know, because of your ignorance, it breeds a certain amount of fear. I think there's a learning process as well. And I don't think every Christian is, and I don't think you are saying that. I'm just saying that there are some who continually say they're hearing real voices from an outside person, not their own voice, but some other voice. They're hearing it, and they're telling them to do things. And I've been on websites where people, like the Rapture Forum, where they're talking about the rapture all the time. I'm serious. There are people on there who are continually saying what God has actually told them what to do. And you just have to kind of look at it and say, would you let this person babysit your kid?
No.
If not,
people.
I don't care how good they are. They're crazy. You know, they hear things.
They're delusional. If they hear voices, why would you want them with your children?
But Live Life took a stand on this and did a video, and I think a very good one. And he has been nothing but pillared by so many atheists. And I thought,
that's what's killing me is the number of atheists attacking him.
Right.
And some high level one, not high level. We don't really have levels, but some well known ones are really attacking him. And it, I don't always agree with Live Life. I have a love-hate relationship with his channel, but at the same time, I think A, he should be free to say that, and B, in my opinion, I can't say this is fact because I don't have data, I don't think he's saying anything that any of us are actually surprised at, even former theists. And I also feel that to further his point, I personally think, and again, I don't have data, I'm no professional, I personally think that the incidence of mental illness amongst the theistic or the faith-minded is far higher than the general populace. I really do think that.
I wouldn't be surprised if it was.
It seems clear. I don't have data, but it really seems clear that the number of people hearing voices or thinking they're getting messages somehow otherwise from the great beyond, and that some of these messages do not at all reflect reality, that's a lot of freaking Christians, man, and a lot of Muslims. And it's
they
scary.
believe in a guy that ran around saying he was the son of something that doesn't even exist. So think about that. They believe in a guy who was delusional.
And loves the taste of foreskin.
And the smell of burnt flesh.
That's true.
I was deeply religious. Since I didn't plug anything about my show, Fridays I'm doing my life story, and I thought it was just going to be a couple parts. I got 5 parts already, and I just now got to Eli being born, so it's probably going to be like 20 parts. So look out for Fridays on the Kauai Time channel.
Yeah. No offense, Kauai, but that's a sad story, man.
You have no idea.
I've been watching. It's kind of hard to watch because it kind of reflects some things,
I'm being honest, and I'm gonna self-incriminate a little bit too. Just because I want people to know actually what happened, because I might die in the military, I might die in an airplane crash, a meteor might come through, and I might be the second person to ever actually get hit by a meteorite. So I'm gonna miss out on my boy's childhood if I don't if I don't do YouTube for a living. I'm gonna miss out on my boy's childhood. So I want them to know who the fuck their dad is. And but my life story is gonna get really good really quick, and I put it in some dark places. I've shared it with Glenn, the next 2 of the next 3 parts. It starts to get a little dark, but I'm going to be honest. I'm going to be fair to Brittany, my children's mother. I'm going to admit when I did things that are wrong. I'm going to try not to demonize her. But my life story is pretty fucking interesting, and it involves a lot of me not having shit and how I'm still a fucking happy person and all the crazy. I lived outside with my kids in Hawaii for a year and stuff. Like, you have no idea. It's going to be a really good story. So just keep an eye out. I'm self-plugging, but whatever. Friday.
We should all do this. I think we should all do this. Why?
It's good. It's good content. I mean,
I think we should all do things like this. We should all make these.
Not just a conversion, deconversion story, but your actual life fucking story, so that people, especially theists, can see that we're real people and that we don't hate God. The reason why I became an atheist, which you'll find out in my life story, is because, first of all, I loved God. Second of all, I wanted to be a good person. And third of all, my boys were asking me questions, and I wanted to give them the correct, truthful answer. And their questions about God led me to atheism, because I'm not going to lie to my kids. I'm not going to tell them, well, there's proof of God without actually researching it, and there's proof of the Bible without actually researching it. My children and love for God, not wanting to worship the wrong God or be in the wrong religion, and my children loving them and not wanting to lie to them brought me to reality. It's just straight up reality. Let me jump on comments real quick here, and then I'll let everyone else talk again. a Talking Primate on watching. Big fan, Talking Primate. He says that PW, he adores your cross in the background. I didn't know he had one either. And he says he's very offensive, and I agree, but I like his offense. He doesn't offend me. He's funny as shit.
He's awesome.
And then Godfrey Girl said, Mark thought he was getting messages from God. I thought I was God's messenger, really.
Wow.
And she's gonna do her Jehovah Witness to God's messenger. Where is truth? Godfrey Girl's story too.
Okay, Godfrey Girl, you out-godded me.
Yeah, she was God's messenger. So, but yeah, I never believed that God was talking to me. I was confused why he wasn't. I was confused why he didn't do anything now, but he did so much, like told people what the fuck to eat and what to do with their penises and stuff, and now like he's not doing it. But I didn't want to question God because I was just human.
Yeah, God was obsessed with penises in the Bible. Really, really obsessed with penises. Can we say penises on the show?
You can say
Listen,
anything
you
want.
guys stop that.
No,
Y'all
this
can
is
talk
what's
about
funny.
whatever you want.
This is what's
Okay.
funny. This is what's funny is that Glenn has been so quiet the whole time.
I know.
And then he jumps in and be like, God's obsessed with penises.
Penises. Oh, where'd he go? Oh, there he is. He's embarrassed.
Please,
Oh,
let's hear it,
you
Glenn.
red.
I'm
Go
sorry,
ahead,
Glenn.
Glenn.
Please,
You
let's
want
hear
to
it.
talk about your penis? Go ahead. It's all right.
I got choked on something. Yeah, it just brought that to remembrance there. Yeah, God was obsessed with penises, so yeah, I'm gonna say.
And
No,
with
come
what
on,
you
give us
can,
more than that.
Come on, Glenn. It's all right.
penises, what you can eat. He was
Well,
what you
very
can wear?
disgusted by menstrual blood. Like he
Right.
seemed
Why did he
like
create
an old
that?
crazy guy.
Why did
Sex.
he create it? If it was
Sex.
so horrible.
It was
He's
so
literally-
Just sex.
And apparently, Adam being naked, like, oh, like, he needed some clothes. Like, really? I mean, like, he was perfectly okay before he realized, we had talked about this earlier, but didn't go into detail, but, like, it was perfectly okay for him to prance around naked in the Garden of Eden, but after he ate of the forbidden fruit, suddenly it's shameful,
Yeah,
and he
that
needs
really
clothing.
got me too.
So why?
Bob DeBit did a video where he talks about that. Like, why, with the knowledge of good and evil, does one's genitalia suddenly
Right.
become something shameful?
Makes the
Because-
knowledge of good and
Has
evil.
anyone else noticed that the God of the Bible, he evolves too? Like at first,
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
he's
yeah.
like walking and he doesn't know shit and he regrets, and then
Well, I
later
have
in the
I have
Bible
a
he's
theory about that.
omnipresent and omni this and omni that. When at first he just seemed like a human. Like honestly, like,
A human?
What's your theory on that?
real, right?
PW?
Well, I think when God created the world, he was 14 years old. I think if you look at it from that point of view,
Exactly.
it all
Yeah,
fits.
the sex.
It does fit.
He was a
Being
14
embarrassed by being
he was in-
naked,
He was 14. You know, he knew a
obsessed
little.
with porn.
He was obsessed with all kinds of things, and you know, you got to ask yourself. I mean, was he wearing clothes, or did he make man in his image without? Was his image without clothes?
Oh,
So
that's
was he naked?
Ah.
Was he naked too? My hunch is a 14-year-old boy. It's hard to guess. I mean, if he can get away with it,
Gee, thanks for the image. Like, I can just imagine an old man sitting on a throne naked. I mean, that's
yeah.
the image of God.
I'm
Well, he
thinking.
probably was watching
I'm-
them two prance around in the garden all naked.
I'm
He was
thinking a
probably-
14-year-old boy with an awkward haircut and glasses with, the tape in the middle of it, and just pissed off at the world because, he wasn't born Brad Pitt, So I think that's what we're looking at here. Is that-
PW, that makes a lot of sense
That
when
does
you
make
consider
sense.
this. Think about this. At the time when the most early versions of that mythology was written, man's lifespan wouldn't have been very long. So
Right.
a 14-year-old probably was a grown man, potentially with children. So,
Yeah.
that being said, those earliest versions might have been written by 14-year-olds.
Right.
Well,
Yeah.
That makes sense. You should do a video on that. That's a really
I
good.
That's
I
a
wasn't
great
try-
topic.
I
Well, they
wasn't
were
trying to make
practically
sense.
Yeah, he was trying to be
No,
funny.
that does make sense. That explains a lot.
Yeah, I was just picturing it. I visualize everything. So I'm visualizing this little nasty little 14-year-old, with an attitude problem.
Yeah, got all his testosterone out of control, and
yeah, he's just started. He's just gone through puberty.
What people gotta realize is if you go by I don't know, facts instead of the Bible, people didn't live to be 900 years old like in ancient time. They lived
because a day for God is 1,000 years.
Yeah, so they totally did.
Magic.
Yes.
Yeah. I recently got into an argument like that with the theists on some theistic page on Facebook, and they were trying to tell me that. And so then I said, so you're saying that up until a certain point, all time, even for mankind, went like that? If that is true, and I did the math and showed how Jesus hasn't even come back yet, he hasn't been resurrected yet, because those 3 days amount to so much time that he ain't come out of the grave yet. We're still waiting.
And what did they say?
They just shut up. They didn't respond after that, and so I just put up a little YouTube video of crickets chirping.
Speaking of this topic, I was just having a religious discussion with my mom today, which happens almost on a regular basis if I talk to her. And I told her that one of the biggest blows against Christianity is the fact that Jesus didn't come back when he said he would, because he told his disciples he would return during their lifetime, or at least some of their lifetimes. He told Caiaphas, the high priest, he would return in their lifetime. And he also told them that they wouldn't be done evangelizing through the towns of Israel before he returned. So I said, Mom, he was delusional. And her response was, and I said, in other places in the Bible, he also said that, or other writers said that his return is close, it's at the door, it's about to happen. She's like, well, with God, a day is 1,000 years, and so it has only been a couple of days. I mean, this is the kind of illogical absurdities you have to deal with people.
I think logic is probably one of the hardest arguments to make.
Yeah.
Because I don't think faith is about logic, it's about emotion.
No, it's not.
So I think you have to deal with emotion first.
Yeah.
That's
why I like to give the examples of how we are both more moral, better morals, and better parents than any God that has yet been proposed.
Yeah. No,
because exactly what you said, emotion.
If the God of the Bible is real, he's evil as shit. Honestly.
He is.
Yeah, not just negligent, but outright evil.
Evil.
I can't disprove all gods, but I can disprove the gods that we believe in, the Abrahamic God, because it's self-contradictory statements and evil, and there's no
refuting.
You can't be all-powerful, all-knowing, all-loving, all-everything, and then let this kind of shit fucking happen.
Right.
Yeah.
Fucking way.
And then justice and mercy are contradict themselves too.
Right.
You made the universe. Why don't you know the
can't
earth
be perfectly
is
just you can't be perfectly just and merciful, because mercy is a suspension of justice.
Right.
Exactly.
So he is either all just, he is either perfectly just, which is what they'll first say, or he is sometimes or always merciful. So he can't be both.
He's never merciful.
Yeah, and in the Quran it says that God is most merciful, but then nothing happens unless it's Allah's will, which is just the Arabic word for God. It's the Abrahamic God. He even admits it's the Abrahamic God. So nothing happens unless it's his will. He's all merciful, but he makes people disbelieve, and it's for him. Then he sends angels to kill disbelievers. The angels beat your face in your rear end while you go see God, and then he burns you forever and makes your skin regrow so he can burn it off again if you disbelieve. So God does that.
Sounds like the Bible God. It sounds like the Bible God too.
It is the Bible God.
People don't realize, one book, you're a Jew. 2 book, you're a Christian. 3 book, you're a Muslim. It's all the same God. It really is. I know this shit. I've read it. I believed it.
We know the Christians don't want to accept that it's the same God, but I mean they just use a different word. One they call him Jehovah or
Elohim.
Yeah, whatever. And then the other one calls him Allah. So I mean,
Allah is just an Arabic word that they refuse to translate to English. It's actually the God. Ah is the, and La is God. Allah, the God. The God, the Abrahamic God. I am the God of Abraham. I am the God of Isaac. I am the one Jesus called Father. I begot no son. This is what the Quran says. Like, fucking read it. It's really easy compared to the Bible. It's super easy. You can read it in like 2 days.
Sounds like the Quran's closer to the old to the Jewish religion.
Oh, yeah.
I was Jehovah Witness. Jehovah Witnesses convert. I'm gonna make a video on this, so try not to steal it. But Jehovah Witnesses convert to Islam easy because it's very Old Testament. Jehovah Witnesses are Old Testament. They really are. That's why they call themselves Jehovah Witnesses. And they don't believe Jesus is God. They believe he's Michael the Archangel that came down to become Jesus. Now he's Michael the Archangel because they're fucking crazy. Jehovah Witnesses. It's fucking crazy, and it's child abuse. Just so you know, I would know. I was raised in that shit. And Talking Primate, I'm sure he's got my fucking back. Jehovah Witnesses are fucking nut jobs. And, and Jehovah Witnesses, they said that the generation that was alive in 1914 will not pass away before the end of the system of things.
Oh, yeah.
If you were born in 1914, you're 99 years old, so good luck on that shit.
Right. But now I've known a few Jehovah's Witnesses that seem to be normal. I worked at a group home one time years ago, and they were the main managers, or they were the weekday managers. We were the weekend managers, my wife and I. And you know what's funny is they didn't seem that well. They were a little bit different, quite a bit different, but they seem like normal everyday people. But then I mean, you find out that they can't celebrate their kids' birthdays or salute the flag, which I could care less about saluting the flag. But I always thought it was weird you can't celebrate your kid's birthday.
They can't be normal. They can be nice because you're programmed to be really nice and honest and always.
Yeah.
I mean, you can give a Jehovah Witness $1,000 and say, please give this back to me next Wednesday at 3 o'clock. They'll be at your fucking door with your $1,000 that next Wednesday. But the problem is they're not allowed to talk to people unless they're forced to. At work, they'll talk to you, but they can't hang out with you. If you're going to school as a Jehovah Witness, the second school is out, you must come home. You're not allowed to play sports. You're not allowed to hang out with worldly kids. You're completely, and you're not allowed to read. You're not allowed to go.
And that's sane.
Knowledge.
And that's sane to them. That's normal.
How could it
insane.
not be? Like I say in my first video.
It's unfortunate for the kids.
How could I not believe this shit? Everyone around me believed it, and I trusted these adults who, like, I don't know, tell me the fucking truth. I'm a kid. Who else are you supposed to trust but adults? Adults are supposed to protect you. They're supposed to teach you, like, how to live and what is right and wrong. So, I mean, how can you not? How can you not? Oh, former Jehovah Witness. I'm sorry, Talking Primate. Former Jehovah Witness. Yes, me too. But yeah, I mean, like, I didn't have any choice on this matter. One of my friends who never was religious in Europe, he constantly asks me, why did you believe this shit? I'm like, well, first of all, it was the adults. They told me this was true. How am I not supposed to believe? And I was in a cult, and I wasn't allowed to learn. And he's like, well, why did you continue to believe? Why did you seek out other religions? Why did you, why did you couch surf Christianity? Why did you convert to Islam? Afterlife. He doesn't understand because he never believed in it. The afterlife has its fucking talons on you, man. You don't want to die and not exist anymore. It's so powerful when you believe this shit your entire life. And it's hard to let go of this shit. It's fucking difficult as fuck. Sorry about the swear words. It's my channel. I can swear all I want.
Say whatever you want.
Holy crap, man. It is powerful to let go of that last little bit. I was agnostic for a week. And you know why? Because I didn't want to let go of the afterlife.
I was never really religious, although I was raised Catholic. I guess I was always a skeptic. So, I mean, I've never had to go through these deconversions like you seem to have gone through. What is the birthday situation? I don't understand that with Jehovah Witnesses. I don't get it.
Because the only time birthdays are ever mentioned in the Bible is when John the Baptist got his head cut off. That's why.
So they don't want the kid to get their head cut off or something? I don't get it.
That God doesn't condone birthdays because he only mentions it once in the Bible. Because, God wrote the Bible. And one time he mentioned...
But he does say how old people are, like Noah was 950 years old, so there must have been a birthday there somewhere.
The way I heard it was that and I can't speak for you, Kawhi, but this is the way I heard it from some Jehovah's Witness friend of mine. And he says that the reason they don't observe holidays other than those specifically that they were told to observe is because if you are to celebrate anything, you are to celebrate every day. You are to bask in God's glory and praise every day to God. No one day should be any greater than any other unless God said so.
No, it's not completely true.
That makes sense, though.
What it is birthdays are only mentioned one time in the Bible, and it's negative. Birthday parties, I should say. And the rest of them can all be traced back to paganism. Because they can. Like Saturnalia is actually Christmas, and Easter is originally a fertility holiday where you would beat a woman with a switch to make sure she could get pregnant, and that's why.
That'll help. Right?
No, I'm serious. Like, they teach you.
Depends on what you're into.
I guess.
All of these holidays are pagan. They are pagan. They're not Christian.
Of course they are.
There's no such thing as a Christian holiday.
Of course they're all pagan.
Yeah, but yeah, that's why. That's honestly, like, I know a lot about Jehovah's Witnesses, man, because I was good at that shit. I was really good, and I studied. I did what the governing body told me to do. I've read the Bible twice as a Jehovah's Witness, and then once now as an atheist. And it's really bad when you have no cognitive dissonance and you're reading it at face value. It's fucking disgusting, man. Ugh.
A joke is what it is.
But that
makes no sense whatsoever.
Accurate information on why Jehovah's Witnesses don't celebrate holidays. That's the accurate information. At least at the time, they constantly change their beliefs. I mean, they used to have crosses, and they used to have the Horus wings and shit on their publications. And the way they got to 1914 is the beginning of the end. Is Charles Taz Russell did measurements of the Great Pyramid. And his memorial is a pyramid with Masonic signs and stuff on it. What it was is the what are they called? Not necessarily the Illuminati, but secret societies, right? They want a one world government, a one world religion, and he was really into the secret society occultist shit. And so that's why they call it the New World Translation. That's why they call it the New World. It was an attempt at the occultists to make a one-world religion for control purposes. If you have one world religion, one world economy, and a one world government, there's nowhere to run. That's why.
Isn't that all the Abrahamic religions?
Well, occultist is a little bit different than just regular Abrahamic religions. They're trying to.
No, I mean the desire for to take over.
Well, yeah. Well, the thing is, what people don't understand is Alex Jones says a lot of dumb shit, but I followed him for a while, and one of the things he says is actually true, is the reason why it's good to have different countries and different sovereign states is so that if there is tyranny, you have somewhere to run. And once there's a one world...
Well, even a stop clock is right twice a day, so... Yeah.
But once you have no borders... Once you have no sovereign countries, once you have no sovereign states, there's nowhere to go, and it just leads to the inevitability of a tyrant. So I believe in countries, but I believe they should all be free, but I believe they should all be independent, so that, like, say if you're in Turkey and there's a crazy man, like, running Turkey, you can move to freaking Greece or something to, or like Albert Einstein. He left Germany and came to America. He had somewhere to go, But I don't know. I digress again. But whatever. Somebody else can. I'll be quiet again.
It's kind of hard to follow that.
I know, right? It's like, wow.
I mean, I'm looking at if your choices of having countries or no countries are based on the current model of things. Yeah, I mean, I agree, but I don't think we should ever limit ourselves to that kind of what I think are poor choices. It's kind of like the argument against healthcare in the United States. A lot of people would say, they would point to Canada and say, well, it isn't perfect in Canada. And I would say, well, when did Canada become the gold standard for anything for us? When did we always say, oh, wait a minute, what's Canada doing? I mean, we never do that, my point is that we don't have to settle for kind of the current choices. We have better choices than dictators. We have better choices than how we divvy up our resources worldwide. We have better choices we could make, and it doesn't have to be based on somebody acquiring more resources than somebody else. It doesn't have to be based on that, and it currently is. Everything is currently based on control of resources, as far as I'm concerned.
Well, that's part of the whole equality thing. I don't just want people to be treated equal, whether they're transgender or homosexual or man or woman or black or white or what language or culture they speak. I believe in economic equality too. The gap between the uber rich and people like me. I'm uber poor, dude. I've never had more than $1,000 ever at one time, ever. I've been struggling. I've never had to pay taxes. They're always giving me money back. I've never made more than $16,000 in a year ever in my life, ever. Like, I mean, I don't mind, but I think it's fucked up, honestly. Like, you don't need to be flying in a fucking private jet, eating caviar that was imported from freaking, I don't know, Scandinavia, and then telling us we need a carbon tax. What the fuck, dude?
Well, they're the ruling class, you know. They're the chosen of God, so yeah, they can do that.
Well, they won't give up their power without a fight. I really don't think they will. I don't think they'll give it up. I don't think they'll let religion die. I don't think they'll let... Once you're a skeptic, you stand up and go, no, I smell bullshit. No, fuck you, you're evil. Or fuck you, that's wrong. Skeptics don't put up with bullshit. They just don't. And so if, like, the majority of the population was skeptical, they would start losing power, and so they'd have to start killing people. And not just the United States. I'm not saying, like, the government or just our... I'm talking about people in complete power, the ones you never see, the ones that put figureheads up so that they can, so that if something bad goes wrong, you blame George W. Bush instead of the person that actually told George W. Bush what the fuck to do.
You're not going to start talking about the Illuminati now, are you?
They got a fucking bunch of names. Who knows what the fuck they're called? I mean, I'm not a conspiracy theorist no more, but I live in reality, okay? I live in reality.
Did we lose Robin somehow?
I think we did.
We did.
Yeah, she'd been froze up for a couple of minutes. Hey, Michael, before we, I don't know when we're going to wrap this up, but I'm not saying we need.
We can wrap it up here in a minute. I try to keep it an hour, but it was such a good show. I mean.
Yeah, no, it's good. I wasn't saying that we had to go. I was just, I wanted to highlight one thing before. I'm sorry, my kids, I've told them 100 times, but they're loud, they're in the background. I apologize. My little girl kept running in here and saying stuff, and I mean, she's 5, so her attention span.
That's fine. I've got a 6-year-old around the house here, so
wow.
I get it.
That's
yeah.
Cool.
Today is
granddaughter.
Today is
I saw your video.
Congratulations! Yeah, tell him happy birthday.
Man, he's 7 years old, so.
My son will be 25 in August, and my daughter will be 23 this Friday.
Wow.
I've got a 32-year-old.
Wow!
Oh, listen, I gotta go.
Yeah.
My time is up.
Thank
Guys,
you.
thank you.
Okay. See you later.
Swivel.
It's been a lot of fun.
Look forward to your next work, man.
All right, we'll see you later.
Thanks for stopping by.
You bet.
Awesome. Well, hey, let's end the show, but I'll talk to you guys after the show real quick. But thank you all the viewers. Thank you for the live comments. I tried my best to keep up with funny shit in the comments. So I enjoyed it. We'll do a show again sometime next week. I'll keep everyone informed and know who's the guests and whatnot, and who's going to be there and whatnot. Maybe we'll try to do it when Bobby can do it. But I hope the European audience, I hope somebody in Europe is able to watch this, because that's why I did this timing. But thank you, everyone, for Almighty Atheist episode 4. So it's a show. It's official. I appreciate it. Everyone, have a good night.